Hey, DJ, we're back in the studio. Guess who I'm impersonating? Yeah, get no respect and whatnot.
Sylvester Stallone?
No.
Brad Garrett?
No, it's clearly Rodney Dangerfield.
Well, that's a bad impression.
No, that's not a bad impression. You're a bad impression. But just stick my finger through your eye.
We're a couple of guys who like to watch movies, cinema nerds who made it our duty to make a show where we break down, discuss, and review. We're the men who watch movies.
Rover Dangerfield. What are your thoughts on this movie?
I thought it was excellent, brilliant, good source of comedy. Rodney Dangerfield brings a very, very unique perspective to the movie. Obviously the story is about the dog, being in Las Vegas, and voiced by Rodney Dangerfield, hence the name Rover Dangerfield. It was an idea of apparently Rodney Dangerfield and Harold Ramis. So they came up with the screenplay.
Really? I didn't know Harold Ramis was involved. Is this fact?
Oh, yeah. It's definitely a fact because they came up with the screenplay. Rodney Dangerfield sang the songs in the movie. He is one of the most iconic actors in the world. May he rest in peace, good sir. We will miss you. But you will be remembered for your very, very funny movies and also an appearance on Home Improvement.
He was on Home Improvement. I don't remember that episode.
Yeah, it was. I think it was an episode called Thanksgiving, and I guess he showed up, and I guess Rodney Dangerfield, being his comical self, wanted to make an appearance because, fun fact, in this movie that he did called Meet Wally Sparks, Tim Allen has a very, very small cameo in the movie.
Oh yeah, I tried watching it one time and I didn't finish it. I fell asleep, but I remember seeing that. Like there was a beginning, because he's supposed to be a famous TV show personality, kind of like a Jerry Springer, but a more obscene and more extreme version of the Jerry Springer show. And then I think they even interviewed Jerry Springer and a bunch of other talk show hosts.
Yeah, this
Sally
was
Jesse
his
Raphael.
Edgiest movie ever.
And then
Meet Wally Sparks, the most edgiest movie ever.
Yeah.
But Rover Dangerfield, I think it's like a children's lighthearted movie.
I don't know who this was made for, because it's like Rodney Dangerfield is a name you would use to bring in adults. Especially at that time, he was older and whatnot. When was this made? 1991.
1991.
He's an older guy. He's gonna bring in an older crowd. But then it's like a kids movie, but then it has more adult kind of jokes. I mean, it's not obscene jokes or anything like that. I mean, they kind of dance with that a little bit. And I don't know what kind of audience did they expect to bring in with this?
Actually, fun fact: this was supposed to be an R-rated movie, but they changed it to a PG-13 movie.
You could tell that. I don't know, just it has that kind of tone, it wants to be dirtier, but then it's just holding back. It's on the edge of
it's
R.
on the edge of what the.
It's on the edge of glory. Anyway, 1991 Warner Brothers movie. One thing I got to say about this movie, it's very very beautiful artistic style. It's not quite Disney perfect, but it's very picturesque. It's very cinematic in their approach and their I could see this being an actual movie being filmed in live action. The way they do the lighting and the animation and the camera moves and whatnot. It's very cinematic. It could easily be something that was filmed in real life. That's one thing I gotta say. Would you agree that it's very beautiful?
Oh, definitely. I would agree. It is beautiful. It is terrific. Rodney Dangerfield is amazing. He is funny. The first time I saw it was actually at my mom's house. And of course, my mom and Jim, of course, they have Amazon Prime. And of course, there's a whole bunch of movies on there, so I decided to pick, Rover Dangerfield, and of course, Jim liked it. It was so awesome, and it was terrific. And of course, I ordered it from Barnes & Noble, and it should be on its way any moment.
What?
Okay, yeah. Oh, I rented it online. Because it wasn't available on streaming anywhere. So if anyone wants to check this out, you're gonna have to rent that. It was only like $4.99 or something like that, but I didn't want to buy it. But but anyway, like we were talking about, it's very visually beautiful. Like in the opening scene, it has like a sweeping shots going through the desert of Nevada. Very technically competent. More so than this movie has a right to be. And then we get to Las Vegas after we sweep through the desert. This movie takes place initially in Las Vegas. It's one of those fish out of water stories, almost like a Doc Hollywood kind of type, where you have this,
exactly.
Yeah, you have this dog named Rover Dangerfield. Obviously, he's after Rodney Dangerfield. They did a good job of capturing his likeness. Would you say? Like the dog looks exactly
definitely.
He has like those bug eyes.
100%. The tie,
the expressions
the voice,
too.
The expressions.
They must have captured. They must have recorded his face.
I get no respect. The heaviness is on me. Hi, heaviness.
That's great. But yeah, they must have filmed his facial expressions while he was doing the voice acting, because they captured his face perfectly, like the way he moves and his eye movements, and then his bug eyes, the way they bulge out and whatnot. Like it looked exactly like Rodney Dangerfield. Like I couldn't notice a difference between him and the real thing. Anyway, but yeah. So yeah, he's owned by he like you said, his name is Rover Dangerfield. He's owned by a showgirl. He gets caught up between him and her boyfriend. Her boyfriend's
Rocky?
he's like a big asshole, and he's into some shady business and whatnot. He doesn't like the dog.
And of course, when Rover Dangerfield finds out about it, he makes some noise, and of course, it rattles the businessman. They're like,
yeah. What was he doing? He was like, cause it almost looked like a drug, like a drug transaction, but it wasn't drugs. It was like jewels. Like what were they, like stolen? Was it like stolen jewelry or something like that?
Something like that. But the lady doesn't know about it, so it's like this secretive thing. So it's like
it's like it's almost wanted to be
stumbles onto it, and it's like
Yeah, I feel like if this was an R movie, it would have been like a drug, like some kind of drug transaction going on. But since it's more aimed towards kids now, like you said, they kind of made it more PG-13. It was some kind of stolen jewelry transaction, and then Rover happens to be walking around, and he's there with like one of his dog friends, and he drops a bone and he scares the guy from doing the transaction. So the boyfriend, Rocky, he's pissed at the dog. And then this movie gets fucking dark, because instead of maybe like driving the dog, take it to the pound or something like that, he drops the dog off a fucking a dam. He wraps it in a sack, and then he throws it off the edge of a dam. I'm like, jeez.
There were some parts that were very, very dark in this movie. Considering the fact that it was a PG-13 movie, it was a cartoon movie. It had some dark vibes. I mean, I was shocked.
That's what I'm saying. Who's this for? Like it's like it's a freaking like musical. Like you would see for kids, but then you have like dogs getting thrown off the edge of cliffs and shit, and like showgirls, barely wearing anything and whatnot. Like who is this for?
Well, actually, it was supposed to be adult. It was supposed to be made for adults, but then they changed it for kids and whatnot. But it does have some adult vibes to it. It's very, very nuanced, very, very awesome,
it's confused.
Very, very tremendously excellent.
Yeah, it's confused on what it wants to be. But yeah, so Rocky throws him off a cliff. Luckily, he gets picked up by some like guys in a boat. I don't know if they're like fishing or whatnot, but they pick up this poor dog. They uncover him like he's alive, by the grace of God. But he has like duct tape over his mouth, and they take him, and then they bring him to like some rural area. And he ends up on a farm, and then he gets spotted by a kid and his farmer dad. The kid wants to keep him, right? And the dad's hesitant. He's like, "Oh, this is this badass dog. He's gonna eat us out of house and home." And then Rover's trying to convince him that he's good. He's like, "Hey, look, I got all my teeth. I'm not that I'm not that big and whatnot." And then eventually the dad, he's reluctant, but he says that the kid can keep him as long as he keeps the dog at the dog at bay. As long as the dog doesn't cause any trouble, he can keep him on the farm and whatnot. And so it's kind of a culture shock, right? Because like he comes from the big city,
Well, actually, fun fact. The guy who voices the farmer also voices Michael Townley from Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh, really? Who did he play? Who?
I forget the actor's name, but I remember
Oh,
his
he
voice.
played Michael on Grand Theft Auto.
Oh yeah, but I remember his voice on Rover Dangerfield. I'm like, who is this voice? And I'm looking on the comments section on YouTube, and I'm like, he voiced a character from Grand Theft Auto, and then he
Interesting.
voiced a farmer on this special, wonderful cartoon.
You really love this movie, huh?
Oh yeah, it's very, very good.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I didn't know that was the same guy. So he's basically, it's like a culture shock to him. He's used to the big city and all the lights and all the gambling and whatnot. He's a dog that loves gambling. Earlier we see him like he's like playing like dice or whatever, and he's gambling for bones. And unfortunately, he takes it one step too far and he loses all his bones and whatnot. But he can't get no respect. But he finds himself on a farm. He thinks it's kind of quaint at first, but then slowly he starts to feel, lost and whatnot. He gets introduced to all the animals, like the pigs and the cows, and eventually he meets up with a pack of dogs that are on the farm, which is weird because like the kids seem so excited to get a dog, like he always wanted a dog, but he has like freaking 10 dogs. No, I don't know, it's not 10, but there's like a bunch of like different dogs on the farm. There's a dog named Raffles. What a weird name. Then you have Max, Duke, Lamb, and Clem, which are like, I don't know, what are they, like twins or something?
Must be. I'm not.
They're always
sure
like confusing each other for one another. I don't know how they don't remember their own names, but I know like one of them, he keeps saying like, I'm Lem. No, you're Clem. I don't know. It's some weird ass dogs. And then of course there's Daisy, the dog love interest. I don't know what kind of dog is that.
I have no
I
idea.
think it's the same dog as Laddie from The Simpsons. I don't know, whatever breed.
It must be. I'm not sure.
Whatever
The
breed
Simpsons,
that
they
is.
do Disney references, of course, and it's very, very awesome. And of course, in the Simpsons episode, not to get too off topic, but there was an episode where Rodney Dangerfield guest stars as Mr. Burns' son.
Larry Burns. That was one of my favorite episodes. It's not to get too off topic here. Well, you know what? In keeping the spirit of getting off topic, it's kind of on topic. But I know you like talking about Family Guy references. Have you seen the Family Guy reference of Rover Dangerfield?
I haven't. It's fantastic.
It's hilarious. They go to like a pound and then they see Rover Dangerfield there.
And
of
it's
course,
actually voiced by Seth MacFarlane.
yeah, he actually does a pretty good impression of him. It's kind of dancing on the line of what's his name from the American Dad, and then Rodney Dangerfield. But there's some moments where it sounds exactly like Rodney. But yeah, anyway, not to get too off topic here. So it's like a culture shock. He's meeting up with all these animals. At first, he thinks he can like slick his way out of any situation, but he starts encountering a bunch of stuff on the farm. Like the wolves. There's like a bunch of wolves that are always trying to get at the birds and the turkeys and whatnot. And and then of course he has to get used to life on the farm. The kid is trying to play fetch with him, and he's not that kind of a dog. He's like the fast. He lives the fast life. He's always like wheeling and dealing and being a trickster and gambling and whatnot. And he doesn't fetch for anybody. He doesn't want to fetch. And so he tries to convince one of the other dogs to not play along with their little game of fetch. And then the dad's like, well, if he doesn't want to fetch, then put him to work. And so they have him like doing like sheep herding and whatnot. I thought that was pretty funny. What do you think about that?
Very, very funny and very, very nostalgic.
Interesting. But yeah. So eventually things start to catch up, and then he starts missing his home life and whatnot. That's one of the things that this movie is about. It's about kind of getting out of your comfort zone, feeling like finding yourself almost, because like he's taken out of his element, and he really has to deal with who he is as a individual. Would you agree?
Oh, I would definitely agree. It's just this heartwarming movie. I don't know if kids will like it. Maybe they will. Maybe they will not. But I'm just saying, if you're interested in a cartoon, if you're a fan of Rodney Dangerfield, I would highly recommend this movie.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, definitely. Well, I'll get to my opinion on it at the end here, but there's some interesting moments. One of the funniest moments. I forget exactly what sparked the the song, because like I said, there's a bunch of different songs in there. There's one song that he sings because he falls in love with a dog named Daisy, and he's talking about how he loves the dog next door because he's used to like dating a bunch of different dogs in Vegas who live that flashy lifestyle, but he's fallen in love with somebody that he could see, another dog that he could see spending the rest of his life with and whatnot. And so he sings a song about that. One of the funniest songs, maybe he can spark my memory here, but there's a song he sings about not pissing on Christmas trees.
I have no idea.
How did that come about? Maybe I fell asleep during that part.
But it was like...
But I woke up, and then he was singing about, I wouldn't go on a Christmas tree or something like that. The beautiful pine, and I don't know. He was essentially, like, they didn't say the word piss, but he said, like, I wouldn't do it on a Christmas tree because, like, he was referring to he wouldn't, like, take a whiz on a Christmas tree because they're special and they're magical and whatnot. So at least he has some kind of dignity. But I thought that was an hilarious song about him not pissing on a Christmas tree. Good on you. I thought that was hilarious. But the main climax of the movie is basically, the dad is very iffy on keeping this dog around because he's always causing trouble. There's one point where he gets mad. The dog, Rover gets mad at this rooster who won't shut the fuck up in the morning. He's cock-a-doodle-doodling all around, and then Rover's used to like sleeping in. He stays up all night gambling and whatever, gallivanting around, and then in the daytime he sleeps and he rests up for his nightlife. So he's not used to getting up early. But in the farm, you get up early and you work your ass off. And so the rooster's cock-a-doodle-doodling, and he gets mad. He starts chasing him around, and his big ass, like buff wife, like his there's like this hen. That's like this big ass buff wife is getting mad at Rover for chasing him around, and I thought that was hilarious. Played by who plays many characters in this cartoon, Tress McNeil, who's done many voices on many cartoons, including The Simpsons. I thought the big ass buff hen sounded exactly like Agnes Skinner.
Definitely.
What do you think?
She has that tone of voice. She has that.
The way she always bitches at Seymour Skinner for doing whatever wrong. That's exactly how she was talking to her husband and whatnot. She's like, yeah, you better move and run away from that thing. What are you doing? Go faster. Blah blah blah. I thought that was hilarious. And then the dad comes out and fires a shotgun because he's like, hey, you better not be horsing around with my animals. And I told you this dog shouldn't be causing trouble on my farm. You better keep an eye on him. And eventually it all comes to a head because, like I said, those pesky wolves are around and whatnot. And then one night, a pack of wolves comes to eat some turkeys that are on the farm. And, being the good dog that Rover tries to be, he tried to intervene, tried to scare the wolves away. And then, I don't know, this is where it gets kind of dark. One of the turkeys, I think, had a heart attack or something, and it died because... the wolves were trying to get at it, but they never got a chance to attack it. But it ended up dying. And then after the wolves ran away, Rover was cradling it in its arms. And, of course, all the commotion caused the dad to come out. And he sees the dead turkey in Rover's arms. And he thinks that Rover killed the turkey. And
he wouldn't do it. He
wouldn't do it.
Sweet, kind dog.
Yeah, he's
funny, innocent. So
he may be
funny and so intelligent.
He may be a weird city guy, but he's a little bit of a sleazy city guy. But he has a heart of gold and whatnot. He wouldn't kill the turkey. He couldn't hurt a fly. But the dad, that's the thing about this movie. The animals talk, but the humans can't understand them. It's not one of those movies. But yeah, so the dad thinks that Rover killed the poor turkey and whatnot. And so the shit gets dark even more. Like he plans, instead of like taking the dog to the pound or whatnot, like he decides he wants to go take him into the fucking forest and blow his brains out. Like, what the fuck? What is this movie?
It's like that movie,
he's literally...
Lassie?
Who?
Lassie, that movie where the
and Lassie, they tried to blow the dog's brains out?
Oh yeah, or Old Yeller. I mean Old Yeller. I mean, like,
Are you serious?
This is based on like
maybe.
Old Yeller because the farmer's trying to take the dog out for a walk, but he doesn't know that he's gonna get his brains blown out.
Tell 8 a.m. to let old Yeller out. Not to get too off topic. Okay, I guess maybe, but yeah, it gets pretty dark. Like he's like literally like leading him into the forest, and he ties him to a tree, and he's about to like shoot the dog. And then lo and behold, the wolves attack the father, and this is Rover's time to shine. He fights back. He's a scrappy city dog who don't take no guff. You know, you're from the city, you're street smart. You know, you've seen some shit. You know, so he starts fighting back. Eventually, the dad gets hurt, but Rover is able to fend off the wolves, and he ends up calling for help. So he goes and he calls all his dog buddies, and then they pull the dad on a sled back to the house, and he gets the dad some help. Then finally the dad sees how valuable Rover is, and how he may be not the dog he thought he was, and so he sees the value in him and whatnot. So that was a good little bit of redemption for Rover there. You know,
very very awesome.
Up until now, he hasn't been getting no respect, and now he got some respect finally, which is rare for Dangerfield. Anyway, I thought that was a good little moment in the movie. Yeah, it was good to see him get some redemption and whatnot. But yeah, and then his love continues to flourish with Daisy and whatnot. But then he gets a phone call because of saving the dad. Somehow it ends up in the newspaper. I don't know, which is weird because it didn't make it seem like it's been days since that event happened. It's like all of a sudden, like instantaneously, the story ends up in the newspaper, and then and this is like nationwide newspaper apparently because. Well, I don't know how far away he got taken or whatnot. Maybe this still could be local, just in a rural area somewhere. But the newspaper ends up in the hands of one of his old buddies back in Vegas, one of his dog friends. Looks like a little chihuahua or something. And then he runs and takes it over to his old owner, Connie, who, she's doing her showgirl thing and whatnot. And then that's when she sees Rover in the newspaper. So she finally finds out where to find him, because up until that point he's been missing because her dickhead boyfriend threw him off a freaking dam. But she doesn't know that because she went out of town at the time that he did it. So she was going on the road to do some show or something like that. So she calls the farm, and then that's when he gets the message, because Daisy at one point, she's like, you can spend the rest of your life with me on the farm. And then you can see Rover Dangerfield's eyes. He's kind of like, oh no, he's kind of contemplating spending his life in a rural area like that. And so far he hasn't experienced too many great things. And so you could tell he's not too keen on the idea of staying at the farm. He doesn't seem like he wants to at first. He wants to go back to his fast-paced life in Vegas. But then, he gets the call that Connie's coming to pick him up. He's ecstatic, but Daisy's sad. She just got to know him, and she started to fall in love with Rover and whatnot. But then, eventually he goes back, and he's he's kind of bittersweet, but he really wants to get back to his owner, who raised him since he was a pup. And he's back in Vegas. He's telling all the crazy stories that went on when he was on the farm. But then he realizes, he does miss Daisy. And so Connie, she sees that. She sees that he's sad and whatnot. Eventually, the boyfriend, what's his name? I keep forgetting.
Rocky,
yeah. Eventually, Rocky, he comes back. And then there's a little confrontation between him and Rover. Rover's pissed at him still. So, of course, he threw him off a damn freaking dam and whatnot. A damn dam. But I think Rover attacks first, right? And then Rocky's all, screaming, I should have finished off the what I started or something like that. And then that's when Connie realizes that Rocky's the one who's responsible for him going missing. And then she ends up like beating him up, right?
Yep.
And then and then he starts to like fight back, and then that's when the rest of Rover's friends from Vegas they start attacking Rocky, and then he runs away, and then shit gets dark again, because he ends up running into some of his old business associates who he's been dealing with, some real like hardened gangsters, and they get him into a car, and they're like, hey. Basically, they're gonna kill him. to put it bluntly. They talk about throwing him off a dam, kind of like he did to Rover. So Rocky's. We assume that he is dead now, because he literally like the mob is gonna freaking make him go sleep with the fishes. This movie's freaking dark. I gotta say,
it is
for all the flashy musical numbers and then the funny little quips and the cute animation style. It gets pretty dark. What do you think about that?
It's very, very interesting for a movie. Very, very nostalgic. Very, very memorable. R.I.P. Rodney. We will miss you very, very much.
Definitely. So eventually, Connie, noticing that he's longing for possibly a lost love back at the farm, she takes him back, to the farm, and then she makes she makes the decision to leave him because she sees how happy he is with Daisy and whatnot. Eventually, it takes a little bit of begging, like a dog, but Rover, he wins back Daisy, and eventually, of course, the kid is happy. He's got his new dog back, and eventually he lives happily ever after. He even ends up having some pups with Daisy and whatnot, running around the farm. And it's funny. He's still, you could take the guy out of the city, but you can't take the city out of the guy. He's teaching his little puppies how to play cards and whatnot, and he's talking about you're talking about winning and whatnot. And he's like, hey, I got a full, this is how you win at this card game and whatnot. But he's like, I'm the luckiest of all because I got a full house. Talking about how he has his new family and whatnot. And then he lives happily ever after. He found his true meaning in life. He found his happiness, his purpose. That's sometimes that's all you need in life is a reason to wake up every day.
Exactly. Those words were never spoken, but very excellent.
Those words were never spoken. Yeah.
Those were strong words from a strong man.
Thank you. So that's Rover Dangerfield in a nutshell. Was it a great movie? No, but it was a competent movie. I enjoyed it more than I thought. And like I said, it made me confused about what it is, but watching it, watching it now at my age, I thought it was fairly okay. I could understand both sides of it. Watching, if I were to watch it as a kid, I don't know if I would have enjoyed it. I don't know, it's hard to say, but watching it, having seen it for the first time as an adult, I'm able to understand kind of both sides of what it tried to be and comprehend it more. Maybe it made it better for it, I don't know, but I thought it was just okay. What would you rate Rover Dangerfield?
I would rate this movie a 9 out of 10.
Well, it's a high mark. I would definitely rate it a 7.5 out of 10, which is more than I thought I would give it. I've heard of it and I've seen it. I've out in the ether. I've been exposed to it, but I've never taken the chance on watching it, and I'm glad I did. It was okay. Would I recommend it? Yeah, sure. Check it out. It's worth a $5 rental if it's not streaming anywhere, but. It's I don't know if I would recommend it for kids per se.
If they grow up,
older kids maybe.
If they grow up, then they should watch it.
Yeah, but yeah, it was better than I thought it would be, and that's as best as I could say about it. But yeah, what would you say you enjoyed the most about this movie?
I enjoyed Rodney Dangerfield. I enjoyed the aspect of the movie, the plot. How everything changes from when he's in Hollywood to where he's at a farm, and there's other stuff that happens. It really, really gives a fresh perspective to the whole movie. I mean, the whole movie is nostalgic, memorable, and of course, it has its greatest actor, Rodney Dangerfield.
Definitely. I pulled up a little trivia from IMDb. The movie was originally planned to be R-rated, which is what you said. But Warner Brothers wanted it to tone down to earn a G rating. Oh, it's actually a G rating. Wow, I'm surprised. I would definitely say more maybe PG or definitely.
Well, actually, it's a PG-13.
Oh, interesting. Rodney Dangerfield. This is what I suspected. Rodney Dangerfield performed his lines in front of cameras, creating a visual reference point for the animators to copy his physical expressions. So that's why he was so accurate to the way he looked. The film was conceived in the late 1980s and originally set for a December 1988 release. So it came out way later than they intended to, but it can kind of tell. When Rover sees the roses that he gives Connie as her birthday present, the words "appearing now" above a picture of Rodney Dangerfield are on the wall directly behind him. Dangerfield voiced Rover, and wrote the story for the movie. This is Rodney Dangerfield's first voice acting role. He would go on to provide his voice for Rusty, A Dog's Tale, in 1998, and the Electric Piper in 2003. And of course, like we talked about, Larry Burns in The Simpsons.
Very, very nostalgic.
In his autobiography, It's Not Easy Being Me, Rodney Dangerfield wrote of this film, "I put some of my own money into an animated movie about dogs. I had some songs which I wrote." Oh, he wrote the songs. That's interesting. So he wrote a song about pissing on a Christmas tree. And I even sang a few. In character, of course. I thought it'd be a funny movie, but I had some trouble with the studio, and they buried it like a bone. Him and his quips. Yeah.
Truer words were never spoken by a great legend.
Definitely. Well, this brings a wrap to this episode of The Men Who Watch Movies. I had fun. Actually, I had fun, unexpected fun watching this movie. Not the greatest songs. Definitely not Alan Menken or Lin-Manuel Miranda quality, but it was pretty amusing, and it had a great little story to it. So yeah, check it out. But yeah. And of course, check out our other movies on the channel. You can watch us on YouTube or listen to us on Apple's podcast, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you can pick your poison and whatnot.
And of course, I have a podcast called Movie Man Behind the Scenes.
I'll put a link to that.
It's filled with educational stuff. Yeah. It's very, very funny. If you get a chance to see it, I highly recommend it. It's very, very funny. I talk about Seinfeld episodes. I talk about why you should embrace being bald.
I see this as an absolute win.
That is a good idea.
Yeah. Definitely check out his channel. And this has been fun. Hopefully we'll have another episode up soon for you. It's we've been a little busy, so we might be posting not as frequently as we used to, but go ahead and subscribe to us, and you'll click that bell, as they always say, and you'll be able to be notified when we have our latest episode out.
We'll be posting new content every minute.
Maybe not. No, every
time,
minute.
every time. But don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, we will be posting new content.
It may be every other week, but like I said,
highly recommend that you watch.
Subscribe and click the bell, and you'll know when we put up some new stuff. And we'll try and get out some more variety of things. And I have some new ideas. Maybe doing some sketches. Maybe doing some other things. We'll see.
Maybe.
But yeah, subscribe, and then you'll know when we have new stuff out.
Subscribe.
All right. My name is Alec.
And my name's DJ, the Movie Man Wagner, also known as the COE of the Men Who Watch Movies.
Oh my God, I made it!
And thank you for joining us. And we want to remind you all to keep on watching. Thank you, everybody.
I hope this video goes viral.
Me too.